Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Klekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry on Friday, the 28th of March. These are some of the stories that we are looking at. Detention of South Sudan's Vice President Machar cancels peace deal, his party says. French prosecutors seek 7 years jail for Sarkozy for taking Libyan money. Zimbabwe government workers moonlight as street vendors. So those are some of the stories we're looking at. We're also going to be looking at the Namibian budget, which was tabled yesterday, and it is over $100 billion worth, and we're going to be seeing the details with regards to that. We also have some exciting entertainment news for you on this Friday. Stay with us as we get into the top stories shortly.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
All right, let's get into the top stories. The arrest of South Sudan's first Vice President Riek Machar has led his party SPLM to declare the collapse of the fragile peace deal that ended the country's brutal 2013 to 2018 civil war. Machar and his wife were reportedly detained at their residence in Juba by security forces, accused of supporting the White Army militia, which recently clashed with government troops. His party denies these allegations, warning that his detention could plunge the country back into widespread conflict. The United Nations, the African Union, and regional leaders, including Kenya's President William Ruto, have urged restraint, while the US called for Machar's immediate release. Political analysts suggest President Salva Kiir is consolidating power by sidelining Machar's allies and preparing businessman Benjamin Bol-Mel as a potential successor. With tensions rising, fears grow that South Sudan could see a resurgence of ethnic violence, threatening both national stability as well as regional security. In our next story, French prosecutors have requested a 7-year prison sentence and a €300,000 fine for former President Nicolas Sarkozy over allegations that he accepted millions in illegal funding from Libya's late leader Muammar Gaddafi to finance his 2007 election campaign. Sarkozy, on trial since January, faces charges of corruption, illegal campaign financing, and conspiracy, with prosecutors describing the case as high-intensity corruption and likening his dealings with Gaddafi as a Faustian pact. Prosecutors also called for a 5-year ban on his political activities, while Sarkozy's lawyers denounced the case as baseless and politically motivated. The former president, who has faced multiple legal battles since leaving office in 2012, insists on his innocence and vows to fight the charges. Several of his former aides, including ex-Interior Minister Bryce Waterfall, also face prison terms and fines. With past convictions for corruption and illegal campaign financing, Sarkozy remains entangled in legal troubles that could permanently end his political career. Moving on. With Zimbabwe's economy struggling and inflation eroding wages, many government workers are secretly taking on side hustles as street vendors to survive. Civil servants like Dumisani Ngara, a Ministry of National Housing employee, spend their evenings selling groceries in Harare's bustling streets, despite government restrictions on holding other jobs. Inflation, which soared to 300% in 2019, has slashed salaries, forcing many teachers and public workers into the informal economy. While vendors benefit from black market exchange rates undercutting formal businesses, supermarkets are closing due to strict government regulations and declining sales. Economists warn that Zimbabwe's policies, including the introduction of the gold-backed ZiG currency, have worsened the situation. Some civil servants, like Portia Mbano, have abandoned government jobs entirely, turning to vending full-time. Despite crackdowns from authorities, informal vendors continue their cat-and-mouse game, determined to make ends meet in an unforgiving economy. In the last of our top stories, in 2025, the World Happiness Report once again provided insights into global well-being, ranking countries based on factors such as GDP per capita, social support, healthy life expectancy, freedom, generosity, and perceptions of corruption. Mauritius emerged as the happiest country in Africa, securing the 78th position globally with a score of 5.832, followed closely by Libya at 79th with 5.820 and Algeria at 84th and 5.57. That's at 8 rather. These rankings reflect a combination of relative political stability, economic progress, and strong social structures that contribute to citizens' overall life satisfaction. South Africa, Mozambique, Gabon, Cote d'Ivoire, Congo, Guinea, and Namibia completed Africa's top 10, highlighting the diverse socio-economic conditions across the continent. You're still with Africa Good Morning. We're going to have a look at the weather, and after that, in economic news, we talk about the Namibian budget and other stories. In economic news, Finance Minister Erika Shafuda presented Namibia's 106.3 billion Namibian dollar budget for the 2025-26 fiscal year, facing weak revenue prospects due to declining global diamond prices and deferred dividends from public enterprises. Revenue is projected at 84.4 billion Namibian dollars, creating a shortfall. Key challenges include lower returns from Deb Marine, delayed Namibia Post and Telecommunications Holdings dividends, and an unsold $450 million stake in MTC. The budget allocates 79.8 billion Namibian dollars for operational costs, 12.8 billion Namibian dollars for development, and 13.7 billion Namibian dollars for interest payments. Major spending areas include health, 12.3 billion, transport, 2.7 billion Namibian dollars, agriculture, 2.6 billion, and sports, 1.3 billion Namibian dollars. The government will inject 3 billion Namibian dollars into a sinking fund to help repay $750 million Eurobond due in October. Shafuda emphasized debt stabilization, with total public debt expected to decline from 66% to 62% of GDP. Former economic advisor John Statler praised the increase in the tax-free retirement commutation threshold, but cautioned about potential long-term financial risks. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on how the budget unfolds in real life, and when we say in real life, I mean in our everyday lives. I do understand that there's a sizable amount given to sports as well as education, and those are sectors which Namibians really want to see improve, but of course all sectors across the board need to do their part. So we're staying with economic news from Namibia. Speaking at the Hyphen Hydrogen Energy local content engagement in Luderitz yesterday, NIPDB consultant for MSME market access and export promotion, Gerald Dreyer, urged SMEs to be proactive and collaborate to seize opportunities in the emerging green hydrogen sector.
We really need to prioritize working together with each other, yes, but also, looking outside. And I keep repeating this because I'm really trying to move us away from this mindset of Namibia first, Namibia only. we really have to collaborate because this is such a large industry and it's also an emerging sector. To tell you the truth, like let's say if green hydrogen and oil and gas boom at the same time, we just don't have the capacity in country, even at a commercial perspective in terms of companies, to provide the services. Because the issue will be that the scale at which hyphen and oil and gas industry require equipment, even just bolts and pipes, and all of these solar panels, it's going to be so vast that the companies that are currently supplying the local industries would not be able to supply the local industries and these two new sectors, right? So already in that sense, it's going to create a burden where what we've seen in other countries is that everyone is now basically servicing green hydrogen and oil and gas, and other sectors are suffering. So we also just need to be cognizant that in as much as these new sectors are emerging, which is great, there's also other sectors that have been around and that are going to continue operating. So again, collaboration is it's not even recommended, it's like almost a must. So within yourselves as the community, you know what you're doing, whether it's a bed and breakfast, whether it's a solar panel installer, you guys need to organize yourselves and already speak one language so that when these companies are coming, they know that, oh, we have this solar panel cluster, we have these artisans, example.
All right, you are still with Africa. Good morning. Shortly, we'll be getting into the economic indicators. But before that, Priscilla Akudenga, transactional banking business lead, unveiled the advantages of HER, her banking, and outlined the qualification criteria at its official launch in Windhoek yesterday.
Business is even harder. Women face unconscious bias, unequal access to resources, and the overwhelming pressure of balancing multiple roles at home and in the office. Her banking champions women in business by offering them support for all their financial needs and more. Included in this offering are special offers and many features and benefits tailored to the needs of women-run businesses. Some of these services include a dedicated women's hub in the SME Digital Call Center, and access to Basecamp Business Incubator, where topics that apply to the needs of women in business are being elevated, with this and so much more. We understand the unique challenges women face in business and are committed to providing the resources, networks, and support women need to succeed. We recognize that the fight for equality in business is ongoing, and we are determined to be part of the solution at FNB. It's an amazing time to be a woman in business, and the world is changing for the better. And together, we can continue to shatter ceilings and show the world that when women succeed, we all indeed succeed.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go. Feel like I should go.
Imagine something so ahead of its time. It was designed to fit in with a future that hasn't happened yet.
Great Scott.
That future is here. Get it.
All right, let's get into entertainment and tourism news. At the recently concluded NTV Awards, the Dr. Sam Nujoma Media Custodian of the Year Award was presented to veteran broadcaster Ernst Fenske, who has been in the media industry for over 40 years, bringing to life Namibia's very first live broadcast of Dr. Sam Nujoma's very first State of the Nation address, as well as the country's very first Independence Day event, among other valuable events. The award was presented by Dr. Pendukeni Ivula Itana, the Vice Chairperson of the Dr. Sam Nujoma Foundation.
But in the early 90s, I was responsible for the first live broadcast, live sports broadcast that went out not only in Namibia but also to South Africa. Then one of the big ones was the independence celebrations. That was a very, very good, big production with very little sleep for 3 weeks, but it was wonderful. Then Miss Universe. Miss Universe was a brilliant production with a lot of clever Americans that came and teached us how to do television. And then the Walvis Bay Reintegration Productions, where I was the head of production. That was a wonderful experience. And there was so much more. Then at some stage, I left television, but not media, and I went to the printing house of NMH, DMH at that stage, and I spent quite a few years there. And then on the retirement, Mr. Botha called me back to assist at NTV, and I'm very proud of NTV. I know we're young, I know we make mistakes, but I'm sure with the talent that sits in this auditorium tonight, you are going to go places. There's a lot of heart, and there's a lot of commitment. And lastly, my personal belief is that your life is determined by your attitude. So if anything goes, if you stand up in the morning and you don't feel well, change your attitude. If you have a problem at work with a colleague, change your attitude. Only you can change your attitude. And with a positive mindset and the correct attitude, you can do anything in life.
And part of Mr. Ernst Fenske's work was actually the establishment of Africa Good Morning. In our tourism section, as his tenure in Namibia comes to an end, I had the privilege of sitting down with His Excellency Charles Moore, the British ambassador to Namibia, the British High Commissioner to Namibia. But this wasn't just a diplomatic conversation, it was a deep dive into his passion for nature photography. Over his time in Namibia, Ambassador Moore has captured breathtaking images of the country's wildlife and landscapes, showcasing its raw beauty through his lens. In this conversation, we explore his journey journey behind the camera, his favorite moments in the wild, and what Namibia has meant to him beyond diplomacy. Talk about your photography.
Yeah.
Yes. How has that experience been for you? For me, it's been wonderful because I've got one of your lovely pictures.
You have
in my house,
and I have to say that's my favorite.
That's
picture.
Your favorite one.
That's my favorite one.
It was the perfect wedding gift.
Nobody else earned it, but you did.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
But do you know, it's I've always been quite keen on photography, but Namibia sort of makes you even keener.
Yes.
And it's been such a pleasure to travel around the country, and you have the scenery, you have the wildlife, you have the bird life, you have the good weather.
Yes.
Everything which actually are all the ingredients for photographic enthusiasts.
Yes.
And I've now, just yesterday I started, and you might have seen it, well, you did see it on Twitter.
Yes, I did see it, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do 4 photos every day of my favorites for the next 30 days. For the next 30 days.
Yes.
And I've got far more than that.
Yes.
But actually, when I look back about, just the photographs that I have of all the scenery, of things like the lions, the elephants, the rhinos, I've got them all in folders.
Oh, wow.
So, and the birds.
Yes.
And those will stay with me forever. I mean, every photo I take, I can actually remember where I was.
Wow.
So if I take a photo of a lion in Tosha, I know which waterhole it was at.
Wow.
And so it brings back really personal, happy memories.
Yes.
Sitting there watching a rhino or an elephant from 5 meters away, and just you and them, can't see anybody else. It's a real privilege.
Yes.
And those are things that will stay with me forever. But I've been really pleased with what I've been able to achieve in the photography, and also how to share that with a wider audience. And a lot of people have said that they've seen Namibia through those photos.
Yes.
And it's encouraged a few more people to come here and experience it themselves.
Indeed. One thing we love about a photograph is that it freezes time. And as a resident of Namibia, if I could freeze the last 4 years, I absolutely would.
Well, I mean, the one problem with Namibia is that time just goes too fast.
It just goes too fast.
I can remember arriving like yesterday, and then suddenly it's like 4 years later and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So if we could stop time for a little while, I'd be most grateful.
Charles, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. These are some of the stories we looked at. Detention of South Sudan's VP Machar cancels peace deal, his party says. French prosecutors seek 7 years jail for Sarkozy for taking Libyan money. Zimbabwe government workers moonlight as street vendors. Top 10 happiest countries in Africa 2025, topped by Mauritius. And Shafuda tables $106 billion Namibian maiden budget. We also had a look at the speech of Mr. Ernst Fenske, who received the Dr. Sam Nujoma Media Custodian Award last night, and we also spoke to Charles Moore in our interview talking about his tourism, his love for tourism in Namibia during his tenure as Ambassador, British High Commissioner to Namibia, which is coming to an end. Something else coming to an end is this broadcast of Africa Good Morning, not just for today, but for the week. And we will certainly be back next week on DSTV 285, GoTV25, OneUp2.com, and Network Media Hub on YouTube. From me, Ashwin Berry, and the Africa Good Morning team, Swera Jaganaka.